Interlude. Kale. Kale sat in his quarters surrounded by chaos of his own making. Papers covered every surface. Jessa's research notes spread across his desk in careful stacks. Spy reports layered over his bed. His own observations from the mimic missions scattered across the floor where he'd dropped them after reading. Empty wine bottles clustered near the window. Evidence of hours spent trying to drown grief in investigation and failing at both. The small room felt suffocating. Stone walls pressing in. Single window showing dawn light creeping across academy grounds. He'd been awake all night. Couldn't sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Jessa's desperate fingers reaching toward them. Heard Torin's wordless shout as the tentacle pulled them both into writhing flesh. 4 years of friendship with Jessa, watching her grow from terrified first year to brilliant researcher. She'd been anxious about everything, worried constantly, but beneath the spiral of fears lived genuine brilliance. Sharp analysis, pattern recognition that made his spy network look clumsy by comparison, and Torin. Solid, dependable. The kind of man who'd jump into a flesh tunnel without hesitation to save someone he loved. They'd argued about tactical approaches with friendly intensity. Torin favored overwhelming force. Kale preferred surgical precision. Neither had convinced the other, but both had enjoyed the debates. Now they were just gone. He couldn't accept it. His hands shook as he reached for Jessa's most recent research notes. Her handwriting was small and precise, cramped, like she'd been trying to fit too many thoughts onto limited paper. The notes detailed order pocket behavior patterns, how the chaos created internal spaces, how they sometimes stored objects within. Stored. That word had caught his attention hours ago. Kept circling back through his exhausted mind. He grabbed another report. This one from his spy network. Recent intelligence about unusual chaos activity in the northern corrupted zones. Mentions of lost mages being sighted weeks after presumed deaths. Fighting their former comrades. Corrupted but recognizably themselves. His breath caught. He spread more papers across the floor, cross-referencing dates and locations. The pattern emerged like silver light cutting through darkness. The mimic trap's design hadn't been random, too deliberate, too targeted. The way it had separated them specifically. Those flesh tunnels pulling Jessa and Torin somewhere rather than killing them immediately. And the intelligence reports. Multiple sources independently confirming the same disturbing truth. The seed itself had been taking hostages, converting powerful mages rather than simply killing them. Kale's hands moved faster now, pulling reports, checking dates, building the evidence that made his heart hammer against his ribs. Jessa had been brilliant. Torin had been strong. Both were exactly the kind of mages the seed would want to convert rather than destroy. They might be alive. The thought hit him like physical impact. Hope and terror twisted together until he couldn't separate them. If they were alive, they had maybe 2 weeks before corruption set in permanently. Maybe less. The intelligence suggested conversion took between 10 days and 3 weeks depending on the mage's resistance and power level. He checked the calendar. Not enough time. Never enough time. But possibly enough if they moved fast. If they had the right weapon. Liv. Her unprecedented power. Her ability to reach into chaos itself and reshape it from within. If anyone could extract captured mages from the seed's corruption, it was her. He stared at the papers spread across every surface. He didn't have proof. Just intelligence reports, pattern recognition, and desperate hope. But it was enough to act on. Had to be enough. The question that had haunted him for weeks crystallized with new urgency. He needed Liv's power desperately. To save his friends. To destroy the seed that had killed his family and corrupted everything he'd ever cared about. Did the distinction between wanting her and needing her even matter anymore? He didn't have time to figure it out. The note sat on my floor just inside the door when I woke. Small rectangle of paper that shouldn't have been there. Someone had slid it under while I slept. I picked it up. Kale's handwriting. Bold strokes. Rushed. Liv. Need to see you immediately. Meet me at Chairman Whisker's favorite restaurant as soon as you get this. Important. I read it twice, trying to parse meaning from deliberate vagueness. Chairman Whisker's favorite restaurant. Not an actual location. A puzzle. Why the indirection? Why not just name a place? Unless he didn't want anyone else to understand if they intercepted the note. My mind raced through possibilities. Where would a cat consider his favorite restaurant? The dining hall had too many people. Too public. The kitchens were too risky. Too much staff. The library. Chairman Whiskers spent half his time in the restricted section. Marin fed him there during late-night research sessions. I'd seen the bowl myself. Small ceramic dish that appeared and disappeared depending on whether the cat was present. I dressed quickly. Simple clothes. Nothing that would draw attention. My hands shook slightly as I fastened buttons. The ink accumulation from yesterday still crawled up my neck. Black marks visible above my collar no matter how I arranged the fabric. I needed transfer. Soon. But whatever Kale wanted felt urgent enough to delay. The academy was quiet this early. Morning light just starting to cut through narrow windows. Most students still sleeping off whatever they'd done the night before. I moved through empty corridors. Each footstep echoing off stone. The library doors were unlocked. Always unlocked. Knowledge didn't keep office hours according to the head librarian's philosophy. Inside, the main reading room stretched vast and silent. Rows of tables, empty chairs, shelves rising toward vaulted ceilings. The smell of old paper and candle wax. I headed toward the restricted section. Past the general stacks. Through the archway marked with warning signs about proper authorization. Into the maze of older texts where Marin did most of her research. Chairman Whiskers sat near the back, contentedly eating from a bowl that definitely hadn't been there during my last visit with Marin. The cat looked up when I approached, gave me an annoyed look that suggested I was interrupting important business. The bowl sat on top of something, a slip of paper beneath the ceramic edge. I moved the cat aside. He protested with an indignant meow, but relocated to a nearby shelf. A return slip. Call number for a rare text about chaos manifestation patterns. The kind of book that required special permission just to request. I followed the number deeper into the stacks. Narrow aisles between ancient volumes. The shelves pressed close on either side. Turning the space into a maze where you could get lost for hours if you didn't know the organization system. The call number should have been here. Right section, right shelf. But there was nothing except more books. Dead end. Just shelves. No Kale. No notes, no indication of what I was supposed to find. Chairman Whiskers had followed me. The cat rubbed against my legs, meowing insistently, demanding attention with feline entitlement. I must have misunderstood, I muttered, crouching to pet him. Maybe he meant the actual book return desk? What do you think, Chairman? Did I miss something obvious? I was still talking aloud to the cat, working through the puzzle, trying to figure out what Kale had meant. A hand fell over my mouth. I almost screamed. Instinct flooded my system with panic. Then recognition crashed through the fear, that unique scent. Winter and steel. The flow of ash trying to push into me from the hand pressing against my lips. Kale's ash. Unbidden, my body recognized it. The ash started flowing into my channels as my ink responded automatically, flowing out to meet his power in that perfect exchange. The sensation was comforting and addicting. Winter cool. Stabilizing. Exactly what my grief-raw system had been craving since yesterday. I turned in his arms, found a secret door standing open in what had appeared to be solid wall. Just shelves a moment ago. Now darkness beyond. A passage leading somewhere hidden. His eyes were bright. Barely contained excitement visible despite obvious exhaustion. Dark circles under his eyes. Stubble on his jaw. The look of someone who'd been awake all night. He gestured for quiet, pulled me through the opening. Chairman Whiskers followed with his tail high. Clearly familiar with this route, the door closed behind us. Stone grinding against stone, sealing us into darkness for 3 heartbeats before my eyes adjusted. A hidden room. Small. Stone walls lined with shelves holding restricted texts. Books that required permissions I didn't have. A chaise lounge occupied one corner. Low table in the center covered with papers. Marin lounged on the chaise, looking extraordinarily content, pleased with herself in ways that made heat flood my face even before I processed why. Her smoky, ink-marked eyes were even more hooded than usual. Lazy satisfaction visible in every line of her body. Her clothes were rumpled, hair messed. Usually perfect appearance unusually disheveled. And the scent in the air. Unmistakable. The smell of sex hanging heavy in the small space. My body responded before my mind caught up. Unexpected flush of arousal at the recognition. At knowing what she'd been doing. Who she'd been with based on Kale's presence and matching dishevelment. I tried not to think about it. Tried to focus on anything else. Before I could speak, Kale burst out.
They're alive.
His words tumbled over each other. Too fast. Uncharacteristic disorder from someone usually smooth and controlled.
Well, they might be alive. I'm pretty sure they're alive.
He grabbed papers from the table.
And we can save them.
I stared at him, confused. What do you mean? Who's alive?
Jessa and Torin.
He was already spreading intelligence reports across the low table. Hands shaking slightly.
The trap wasn't designed to kill, it was designed to capture. Look at these reports from my spies. Look at Marin's research notes about historical pocket behavior patterns, combined with what I observed during the Mimic mission.
He pointed to specific passages, his finger trembling with barely controlled energy.
The way those flesh tunnels pulled them somewhere instead of digesting them immediately. Lost mages have been sighted as soon as 2 weeks after presumed deaths, corrupted, fighting their former comrades. But recognizably themselves, the seed isn't just killing powerful mages, it's taking them, converting them.
My mind tried to process. Jessa and Torin pulled into that creature, disappeared. We'd searched the remains, found nothing. But what if they hadn't been digested? What if they'd been taken somewhere? The woman, I said, memory surfacing sharp and clear, at the farmhouse. Before we realized it was a trap, we saw someone, female, walking away from the structure. She disappeared before we could investigate. Kale's eyes widened.
I forgot about her.
He grabbed a stack of papers, started flipping through them fast.
Let me check something, yeah?
He counted under his breath. His finger traced down page after page. Intelligence reports, witness accounts, mission debriefings. Finally, he looked up.
Maybe?
He tapped the papers.
1 in 6 of these reports mention a mysterious woman present at sites where mages vanished. Hardly conclusive, yeah? Could be coincidence, could be 6 different women, could be nothing.
He paused, met my eyes.
But suspicious coincidences make my skin itch, and this one's scratching hard.
Marin spoke from the chaise, her voice carrying satisfaction despite the grim subject.
He's right.
She stretched like a cat. Comfortable, content.
I've checked over it myself, several times.
Her eyes moved over Kale as she said this. Stopped conspicuously at his groin before lifting back to his face with obvious appreciation.
There is a good chance they're alive. At least for now.
Heat flooded Kale's face, but he pushed through.
If I'm right, we have maybe 2 weeks before they're corrupted beyond recovery. Maybe less. But we can save them if we move fast enough.
He met my eyes. Desperate hope visible beneath exhaustion. The implications crashed over me. Jessa and Torin might be alive. The anxious researcher who'd worried about everything but came through when it mattered. The steady cleaver who'd jumped forward without hesitation. They might be savable, but it would require going after them. Deliberately entering chaos territory. Using my power in ways I'd never attempted. My mind raced through possibilities. The logistical part of my brain immediately started cataloging dangers. Entering chaos territory deliberately. Attempting an extraction that had never been done. The risk of corruption. The possibility this was all wrong and we'd be walking into another trap. But louder than tactical concerns was simpler truth. Jessa and Torin might be alive. The anxious researcher who'd shared wine and secrets with Marin. The steady cleaver who'd saved someone he loved without hesitation. They might be savable. How? My voice came out steadier than I felt. How would we even attempt this? Kale's eyes lit up. He'd already planned it. I could see calculations running behind his expression.
We need to move fast. Gather intelligence on where captured mages are being held. Plan an extraction, and we need your power, Liv.
He paused.
Your ability to reach into chaos and reshape it from within. That's the key to pulling them out before corruption sets in permanently.
There it was. The assumption that I'd be the weapon, the hero, the one who charged in and saved everyone through sheer magical force. I thought about the Polyps village, fortifying that tower position, killing everything that came at me until I'd nearly dissolved. Professor Oral's brutal assessment afterward. The way I'd fought like a cleaver when my magic was designed for support. I thought about Dane's words from months ago. You don't have to be everything to everyone. I thought about Jessa's gentle reassurance. It's okay to not have everything figured out. I'll help you, I said, meant it completely. But I'm not the action hero you need for this, Kale. I can't be the one leading the charge, making the grand rescue. That's not who I am. Disappointment flashed across his face. Quick, carefully hidden but visible. But, I continued, I can help you. I can be your support, your shield, the one who keeps you alive while you do what you do best. I met his eyes steadily. I want to save them too. Desperately. But I can't be your weapon, Kale. I can be your binder. That's what I'm built for. Protecting, supporting, holding things together while others take the fight forward. The honesty cost me. Part of me wanted to be what he needed. The hero capable of dramatic rescues. Powerful enough to storm in and save the day. But I knew myself better now. Knew my strength wasn't in leading the charge. It was in making sure the people who did lead the charge came home alive.
And after?
Kale's voice was carefully neutral.
After we save them. If we save them. The seed itself. The mission you've been planning for years.
I took a breath. This was harder. More complicated. I want to help you there too. But in the same way. As your partner. Your binder. Not your weapon. I held his gaze. That's your mission. Your need for revenge. I'll support you however I can. Keep you alive. Be the shield that lets you get close enough to strike. But the actual killing blow? I shook my head. That has to be yours. I don't know if I can be the one to destroy it. But I can be the one who makes sure you survive long enough to try. I expected anger, rejection, for him to withdraw the way people did when I didn't give them what they wanted. Kale was quiet for a long moment. His jaw worked like he was chewing on something bitter. Processing. Recalculating behind those eyes that saw too much. Finally, he nodded. Not happy about it, but practical.
Fine, for now.
His voice carried that intensity I'd come to recognize. The mission-focused determination that wouldn't be denied.
You be the shield. I'll be the weapon. We save Jessa and Torrin first.
Weight landed on that word. First. Like everything after was still negotiable.
But Liv.
He met my eyes. No charm, no deflection, just bare truth.
I still think you're the key to destroying the seed. You're the only known synthesis binder alive. The only person who might be able to reach into chaos itself and reshape it fundamentally.
His voice dropped.
I'm not giving up on that. I'm just accepting that maybe it's not today's conversation.
Not quite acceptance. More like strategic retreat. Marin spoke from the chaise. Her voice carrying lazy amusement.
How gracious of you, Kale. Accepting help on the helper's terms instead of your own demands. Such growth.
Shut it.
Kale said without heat. Then back to me.
Any help is better than no help. Particularly right now when we're racing a clock to maybe save our friends.
He managed something that might be a smile.
So yes, partners. Binder and Cleaver. You keep me alive. I do the stupid heroic bits. For the rescue mission.
The unspoken hung heavy between us. And we'll discuss the seed later. I took his offered hand anyway. The contact sent familiar electricity through my system. Attraction, magic, resonance. But tension threaded through it too. The knowledge that he hadn't really accepted my boundary. Just deferred the argument. Partners. I agreed. For the rescue, I didn't add and we'll see about the rest because we both knew he'd already decided about the rest. He was just being smart enough not to push right now when time was critical and he needed my cooperation. Marin rose from her lounging position with theatrical grace.
Excellent. Now that we've established temporary detente, shall we begin actual planning?
Her dark eyes were serious despite the casual tone.
Because if your theory is correct, Kale, we have less than 2 weeks.
She paused.
And I'd very much like Jessa back. She's useful, and Torrin is tolerable enough.
The casual words didn't hide genuine concern underneath. Marin cared too. In her own carefully guarded way, Kale began spreading maps and intelligence reports across the table with focused energy.
Right. First question. Where would the seed keep captured mages for conversion? Intelligence suggests northern territories, but we need to narrow it down.
I found myself pulled into planning, not as the weapon he wanted me to be, but as the support I was willing to offer. The tension between us hadn't resolved. He still believed I must be the one to destroy the seed eventually. I still knew that wasn't who I was. But for now, we had a shared goal: save Jessa and Torin. The rest could wait. Had to wait. Even if Kale's eyes kept drifting to me with that calculating look that said he was already planning how to convince me otherwise. We worked late into the night, poring over maps and intelligence reports, planning routes, identifying likely locations, calculating risks. The tactical work was exhausting but necessary. My eyes burned from reading faded text by candlelight. My back ached from hunching over the low table. But we kept going. Pushed through exhaustion because the alternative was giving up. Somewhere around midnight, Marin stretched with theatrical languor.
Sleep now.
She announced it like a decree. Stood with feline grace.
Can't save anyone if we collapse from exhaustion.
She paused at the door, caught my eye, winked with obvious meaning before disappearing into the hidden corridor, leaving Kale and me alone in the stone room lit by dying candles. We kept working. But the energy had shifted. The air felt heavier, more aware of each other's presence. Kale's shoulder near mine. The way our hands brushed when reaching for the same document. The scent of him. Winter and steel and something uniquely his that made my breath catch. At some point, exhaustion won. My head dropped onto Kale's shoulder without conscious decision. Just gravity and tiredness and the comfort of having someone solid beside me. I awakened to sensation. Winter cool ash flowing into my system. My hot ink flowing out. The transfer happening automatically. Unbidden. Our magic seeking equilibrium through the point of contact where my temple rested against his shoulder. Recognition flooded me. I was leaning on Kale, taking transfer without asking. I pulled back abruptly. Sorry, I didn't mean to. Kale smiled, laughed it off with easy charm.
No harm done. You needed it anyway, yeah? That ink accumulation was getting dangerous.
But I couldn't stop thinking about it. The transfer. How good it felt. How much I wanted more. I remembered Dane's letters. Careful words about his training. About missing me. About counting days until we could be together again. The pressed flower he'd included. Delicate petals preserved between pages. I remembered my father's voice. You're so good at handling things, Liv. I don't know what I'd do without you. The weight of being needed. Being useful. Being the one who held everything together. I remembered Seraphina's cold smile. We all have roles to play. Some of us are just better at accepting them. I remembered Jessa's anxious fingers twisting together. Is it okay to want things just because you want them? Not because you should? My hand reached out, touched Kale's deliberately this time. He looked at me. The desire in his eyes was burning. Undeniable. The transfer started faster, harder, stronger than before. Magic pouring between us with intensity that made my breath catch. Kale, I stopped myself. No more lying to myself. I want another kiss. He didn't make me ask twice. The kiss ignited like striking flint. His mouth tasted like Marin still. That theatrical darkness. The lingering evidence of their earlier encounter. the knowledge should have bothered me. Instead, it was arousing. Evidence of pleasure. Of life lived fully. Kale did his trick again. That pull and release technique I remembered from the village. From when I'd been dying from accumulation, and he'd made me feel things I'd never experienced with Dane. My ink flooded out of me into him in a rush that felt like relief and loss simultaneously. But I could feel his ash building on the other side of the connection. Accumulating. Waiting. Then he dumped it all into me at once. My back arched involuntarily. My legs felt weak. Thankfully, I was sitting on the chaise because standing would have been impossible. The pleasure crashed through my system like winter lightning. I couldn't stop it. Couldn't resist it. Didn't want to resist it. I orgasmed from the transfer alone. The sensation overwhelming every other thought. Our minds brushed in that space between magic and consciousness. Just barely touching. Just enough for me to feel Kale's want for me. Raw and undeniable and complicated by mission and need and genuine desire all tangled together. I was sure he could feel my want for him the same way. No hiding it now. No pretending it was just transfer necessity. We eventually broke the kiss. Both gasping, flushed, changed. Kale smiled. Genuine, not performative.
I can feel the difference with you. The synergy.
His voice was rough.
The synthesis is just more with you.
I smiled back, still feeling the aftershocks in my system. The winter cool ash humming through my veins. But exhaustion was real. The work ahead was real. We both needed actual sleep if we were going to save anyone. We should rest, I said, though leaving felt impossible. Can't rescue anyone if we're dead tired. Kale nodded. Helped me stand. We navigated the hidden corridor back to the library proper. Then through dark hallways toward the dormitories. He walked me to my door like it was the most natural thing in the world. At my threshold, he leaned in. One last quick kiss on my cheek. Chaste compared to what we'd just shared, but somehow more intimate for its gentleness. I could feel the tingle of cool ash on my cheek as I closed the door. Could still taste winter and starlight. Could still feel the ghost of his want mixing with mine in that space where our minds touched. I pulled out my journal. The one I'd kept since the caravan, since before magic, since I'd been just Liv Harrow who handled accounts and pretended not to want more. My hand trembled slightly as I wrote. They might still be alive. We might save them. And I want Kale in ways that feel like betrayal, but also like choosing to live fully in the brief time we have. I paused, stared at the words. Tried to find the lie in them. Found none. Marin said our lives are short. She's right. I still love Dane. That hasn't changed. But I also want this. Want him. And I'm tired of pretending I don't. The ink spread across the page. Black marks like the ink that crawled across my skin. Permanent. Indelible. Evidence of what I was. Maybe I can love one person and want another. Maybe complexity is just part of being human. Maybe grief and desire can exist together. I thought about Dane on the island. The way he'd looked at me that last morning. Like I was something precious. Something worth choosing life for. I thought about Kale's calculating eyes. The way he saw me as weapon and woman and partner all tangled together. How he wanted my power and wanted me and couldn't quite separate the two. I thought about Jessa's anxious brilliance. Torin's steady sacrifice. The way they might be alive. Might be savable. If we moved fast enough. If we were brave enough. If I was willing to be the shield instead of always trying to be everything. I don't have answers. But for tonight, I'm going to let myself want what I want without apology. The complexity didn't resolve. I still loved Dane. Still felt guilty for wanting Kale. Still grieved for Jessa and Torin while hoping desperately they were savable. But Marin's words echoed in the silence of my room. Our lives are short. Live it. And for tonight, that was enough.